Welcome to Writers Chat. I know today you were probably expecting Jean and Johnny and Brandy, the A team, but instead you got Brandy, Norma, and Jan, the B team. But we're here to talk about summer reads and travel and some writing prompts. So we're going to have an open mic, and we hope you will take a minute, grab your beach attire, your favorite book, maybe an iced tea or lemonade, and come join us for some summer reads and writing prompts. So first, we're going to start with sharing some good summer reads. And one of my favorite, I'm going to talk about for kids because many of us have kids. And oh, excuse me. Let's go ahead and invite everybody back on.
Yeah.
Um, turn on your cameras. We want to see your face. And while we're talking, if you have a favorite summer read, put it in the chat. And if we get a chance to chat, to talk about it, we'll let you do that. So come on, show us your pretty face, bring your favorite read, and let's get going. So many of us have children, or some like me have many grandchildren. And so today I wanted to start with a favorite summer read for upper elementary age kids. And it's by Frank Peretti, who, by the way, is going to be at Blue Ridge Mountain Writers Conference. Yay. And also Realm Makers. This year, he's going to be speaking and teaching at those two conferences, maybe more, but those are the two I'm aware of. So this is called The Legend of Annie Murphy by Frank Peretti, and it is book 7 of his Cooper Kids children's series. They are standalones. You can read them one at a time or from number 1 to number 8. There's 8 of them. And the premise is it's a dad and 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and the father is an archaeologist, and they travel all over the world doing excavations, and something paranormal-ish always happens, but they find out there's some kind of biblical truth or scientific explanation to what's going on. So if your kids love to read or you're trying to find something to get them interested in reading, Frank Peretti's the best at cliffhangers and settings. Somebody else want to talk about their favorite? Brandy, do you have one?
I actually do. And this might be a surprise, but still my favorite book so far. It is, oh, can you see it?
Nope.
Hold on. I'm going to take off my beautiful, lovely background so that you can see. This is Fairy Eater, and it is by Pam Halter, who just happens to be here today. I absolutely love this book. It's fantasy, it's fantastic, it's got fairies. Gee whiz, it has great relationships, it's got action, it also has a special needs character, which is dear to my heart because I have a special needs child, as does Pam. And I think it's just beautiful. I would say this is what YA, Pam? YA. It's a YA read, but great for a beach because you're sitting at the beach, you're in this lovely environment, and you can just go off to this fantastic world with so many great characters and so much awesome things that happen, and a strange woman that likes to eat fairies. You definitely got to check that out. What about you, Jan?
I have this one that I've read. Can you read it? It's The Rock, the Road, and the Rabbi by Kathy Lee Gifford. The rock is Jesus, the road is Israel, and the rabbi is God's word. It's got to learn a little bit about more about her and Israel and what some of the meanings are behind some of the stuff. So I kind of felt like I was actually there and experiencing what Israel would be at a lot cheaper price.
Nice. Anyone else have a favorite read that you maybe, even if you don't have the book right there with you, if you want to share it, go ahead.
Okay.
Pam?
If you want something really light, and I can't find my hard copy of it, but I have it on Kindle. It's called Flabbergasted by Ray Blackston. And it's just a light, it's about the beach too as well.
Mhm.
It's fun and it's light. If you want something heavier and you like fantasy, you like fairy tale retellings, this is one of my favorites, Spindle's End by Robin McKinley. And it's a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. And super different, super big, but yeah, it's good.
All these
I
great
have
books.
another favorite author. In fact, I do a lot of proofreading for him. His name is Dan Walsh. And these are 3 different series that he has. One's on dogs, one's a history teacher, and one's a detective. And he really keeps you on the edge of your chair. I put the link to him on Amazon because he does lots of other types of books as well. He has a devotional, a Christmas, and some romance. So check out Dan Walsh. He's great.
One that I finished not too long ago. It is an older book. I don't have a hard copy. I do have it on Kindle, and it is by our very own Johnny Alexander, and it's called Where Treasure Hides.
I love that one.
And it's a romantic suspense of sorts. It's written during World War II, and it is really, she did a fantastic job, and she really pulls you in. So if you like some romance, but it's not, when Johnny writes romance, it's not sappy romance, it's light romance. It's very natural. Like, they don't even kiss in this until the very end of the book. So it's this, it's kind of, if you ever watch the TV series Castle, there's this romantic tension throughout the whole story, and then it happens at the end. And Johnny's excellent at doing that. So if you like a little romance, that's a good
Doesn't
one.
this have the artifacts that the Nazis hid?
Hmm.
Okay,
That's the one.
so
Yep. Hmm.
that's really intriguing.
I
Rhonda,
also
did you
to
have
share
something?
something. I would like to share
Oh,
something too. When
okay.
when Rhonda's done, I would like Rhonda to go first. Hi, Rhonda.
Well, hi, I'm on a couple of book launch teams, so I'll put that disclaimer right up front. But I'm really excited about the books. This is a book by an author named Deborah Maxey. It's called The Endling. I really enjoy this. It is set in Appalachia, and the heroine is a young woman with a Native American background. And Deborah has some Native American roots, and she does such a good job of weaving the Native American beliefs in with Christianity. It really changed my mind I thought all Native American religion is just all spiritism. But no, this is a very Christian worldview, a pretty gripping story, beautiful descriptions. And Deborah is a psychologist. So her characters are really rich and very deep. And I really enjoyed it besides being on her book launch team. And if you want to find a link to it, you can just go to my Facebook page or my Instagram. And there are links there. Also, last week, it was 2 weeks ago, after hearing Melanie Dobson, I've been emailing Melanie because I'm reading this book. It's an older book of hers. It's not a time slip, but it's about Quakers. And some of you may not know this about me, but I married a man who is a Quaker. And for 25 years, we pastored in the Friends Church. The Society of Friends is also known as Quakers. And this is set in Liberty, Indiana during the Civil War. And the heroine and her family are abolitionists, and they are conductors on the Underground Railroad. This really fits in well too. Again, it's Love Finds You in Liberty, Indiana. I actually had to go to my library to find it because I want to do things that are free. Sorry, but that's where I found it, was in my library. It's a wonderful book. I'm only partway through, but I'm starting to see why Melanie has won so many awards, because it's really gripping. And the last one I wanted to show you, one of my favorite authors I found is a gal named Jody Headland. And she has a series, if you like YA, and if you have young readers and you want something that's really fun, but also has a great message, I recommend Jody Headland. This is the first book of her series called The Lost Princesses. And there's some paranormal stuff, but it never leaves the Christian worldview. And the first book is called Evermore. If you get started there, she leads you on to the others. But I've never been disappointed in anything I've read from Jody Headland. And I just highly recommend her. And you know what? I have a refrigerator that was delivered on Friday, and it has not worked ever since Friday. A brand new refrigerator. I'm in the midst of a major kitchen remodel. And my husband just sent me a text that they're going to be here in 30 minutes, the repair people. We've been trying to get him here ever since Friday. So I'm going to check in. I had a friend who said, you blow in, you blow up, and then you blow out. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here. But I will watch the replay, and happy summer to all of you guys. I appreciate your continued prayers. My back is much better. I'm in physical therapy and things are going better. So if we can just get this crazy kitchen remodel done, I'll feel like I get my life back. So
It's so nice to see you, Rhonda.
thanks. Great
Yep,
to see
good to
all of
see you.
Bye-bye.
All right, I'm going to share a couple more, and then we can go into some writing. We have a couple of writing prompts that we can do.
Isabel?
I am,
Got
yes.
it. So you're muted, Isabel.
muted.
We can't hear you.
Just that I found the book and I got the image because all my books are downstairs. But go on with yours and I'll follow up.
Okay.
All right, and if you guys have any more suggestions for books, please put them in the chat. We will post the chat along with the replay following the show. So one of my favorite book series, it's a little older. I read these years ago, but I borrowed them from the library and I said, I just got to read them again. So I went and I bought them just recently so I can reread them. This is The Dragons in Our Myths series by Brian Davis. This is the book series that turned my thinking around from all dragons are bad to dragons are not bad. Dragons are animals like everything else that God created, and everything that God created is good. And I just fell in love with this. This was the first set of books, set of Christian books in particular, but Christian worldview without banging you over the head or saving everybody, which I really respect in a story. I'm not one that really likes all that you got to save your characters. I like the Christian worldview, but I like a story that's centered on other things. And these are. So is the Oracles of Fire, which is also connected to this. It's like the prequel kind of thing. But these books, they were the first ones where I could forget that I was a writer when I was reading it and just enjoy the story, because the storytelling and the writing is so good. And same thing with the Fairy Eater Pam's that I read. I could forget that I was a writer and an editor and just read and enjoy. That's rare that I can do that. So when I find books that I can do that, I absolutely love it. Pam, did you want to say something?
You're muted, Pam.
A little trivia about Brian Davis's The First Dragons in Our Midst. He got 200 rejections on that book. He carries them around when he shows people in a big file like this, and ended up the publisher that they rejected him, but then he went back to him back around after, these 200 rejections, and they created a whole new line for his book. They had, I guess, I don't know why, if they had like a second thought thing and all, but he was so persistent because he believed in that book series so much. 200. Oh my gosh. We get discouraged with 3 rejections, 200 rejections he had on that first book.
Thank you for sharing that. That's
cool.
you don't hear of that often. You don't hear those stories, the backgrounds behind the writing and what goes into a finished product. I really appreciate you sharing that. All right, so
Isabel.
Yeah, that remind me that I had something like 30 or 40 rejections, and I got then one publisher that took me in. That's YA, and it's not yet, I would say, not yet Christian. It could become with the second one that would bundle up like Narnia allegoric, which I have in mind, but well, it's to be published not by a Christian house. I'm quite Sarah Elad reader, because that's the first, I believe, the first Christian like published by the majors in the Christian realm that I read, and wanting to write in many genres. I've been buying a lot of books, you know, from all the majors like Barber, Thomas Nelson, and I don't know, Zondervan, and Revell, and which one, Bethany House. But the one that really blew my mind, so I took it. I don't know if you see.
Yes.
Terry
It's
Blackstock.
Terry Blackstock, Covenant Child.
Mhm.
These, I believe I cried all the
Mhm.
time, because it's really like an allegoric of salvation and the offer of salvation.
Mhm.
And you follow two twins, and well, the parents dies, first the mom and then the dad, and so they have a stepmother, and then the grandparents take the children back, and they say that stepmother, she wants your great fortune, the one from the other granddad, and they are absolutely ill-treated. It's really like the bondage in Egypt, and the stepmother kept sending messages like, I've kept your fortune, don't believe the lies, and come back to me, come back to me. It's really like Jesus calling, come back to me, come back to me. So that those two twins, one chooses to go back with the stepmother, and even if she tries to get to her sister and say, you know, what she said was true and being with her is wonderful, but the other just goes, and her life just is less and less, I don't know, it's just from misery to misery, and you're just so gripped. I believe that's the highest of all that what I've read in Christian fiction. And to go about covers, and last week, so I'll find that. Last week, my publisher sent me 2 samples of what could be my next cover. So I believe I have it somewhere here. And so I had to choose, and I loved both of them. I had to choose between this one.
Ooh.
And which is the one I haven't taken. And this is the one I've chosen because it's a bit like, if you know the horrible adventures of the Baudelaire's Orphan, it's kind of that, but with in the sea, or on a town next to the sea. So you have mermaids and
Nice.
crabs, and I was like, oh, how beautiful.
Can't wait till it
Very
comes out.
nice.
Yeah,
Terry
well,
Black-
September. It's for mid-September or end of September. And it will go to the major fantasy book fair for children. Well, it's middle grade, 12 to 18, something like that.
That's wonderful.
That's great.
Thanks for sharing.
Terry Blackstock is one of my favorite authors.
All
She's
right,
up
well,
there.
we're getting to
All
about
right.
the half hour, and we want to get a chance for people to do some writing. So we are going to start with a travel prompt. And I think Norma's going to share her screen, so we have something up, and I'm going to play a little bit of music that will last for about 9 minutes. And so if everybody wants to grab a piece of paper, grab word processing program, something or other, you can stay on screen, go off screen if you want. I do recommend that everybody else mutes themselves during this period so that we have just the music and the prompt that's up, and then we will start writing. All right? All right, here we go. Can everybody hear that well? Thumbs up, down? Okay, great. All right, that's the end. Norma and Jan. Whoops. I guess it keeps playing if I don't press pause. um, I was thinking that instead of maybe share right now, perhaps we could go into the second prompt and then we can share at the end. And that way we have enough time to get in the prompt.
I think that'll be perfect.
All right.
Then we can, and then everybody can choose which one they want to share from.
That would be
Sounds
great.
great. Let me pull up the second prompt. And I'm going to go ahead and mute
How's everybody doing on their writing? Brandon,
Pretty good. It's about 1:15, so I think it's probably a good time for us to come back on and maybe share. But I gotta finish my sentence. Somebody else want to share something they wrote so I can finish my sentence?
I can do one. I'll do the
Alright.
first one. Surprise encounter. We finally got our luggage in our cabin and settled in for the cruise. After changing into our bathing suits, we went up to the pool deck to explore. It's a beautiful sunny day. More and more people are beginning to wander around the deck. Let's get something cool to drink, I said. Sure, what would you like? Jim asked. A tropical punch sounds refreshing. We got our drinks and began to walk around looking for some chairs to sit and relax. Then hearing a familiar voice, we began walking in that direction. We found a couple of friends from our church sitting there. They booked the cruise at the last minute, and we hadn't shared that we had this trip planned. It was a delightful surprise, and we had a wonderful week together. And that's a really true story.
Nice.
Anybody else ready? Sophia?
Sophia.
Go ahead. This is from Sitting on the Beach I Saw. It's just really short. So, and this is based in my world. Sitting on the beach, I saw nothing that would entice me to wade into the waters of my home again. To break that surface, to submerge and be at one with my people would only accentuate the pain of my loss. Communion would drive the stake deeper into my heart as the void of those closest to me promised to permeate any presence. Loss remained a dull ache here on the shore above water. Were I to return, the wound would surely reopen, fresh as the day I lost them all. Heartbreak would tear me apart all over again.
Beautiful.
I want more.
No, I really can't wait to read this when it's all done.
You left us hanging, Sophia. Not nice.
I'm not nice. I'm
That
a
was
writer.
good. That was really good. I was just listening, and then you stopped. Good job. That was really good.
Anybody else? Pam.
Pam?
I combined them. So it's the surprise encounters while sitting on the beach in the salt water.
Ooh.
I sat by the dying beach fire as a young woman I didn't know played her flute. The moon reflected on the ocean. Its face rose and fell with the waves. Suddenly, a large wave crashed on the sand, startling all of us. The music stopped, and as we watched the water recede, we saw something left behind. It was pale, a bit on the thin side. My boyfriend, Dane, got up. I grabbed his ankle. What are you doing? I want to see what it is. Before I could respond, he and two other guys took off to the water's edge. Rob got there first and bent to touch the object. The rest of us followed. As we approached, I could see a shimmering coming from whatever it was. Dane put a hand out. Don't come any closer. What is it? I whispered. It's a piece of metal, he answered, and it's glowing. I shivered. A cloud drifted across the moon and I could see the glow better. I have a bad feeling, I told myself. My skin prickled as the hair on my body stood straight up. I took a step back. Guys, I started to say when Rob cried out and collapsed. Dane and Mike jumped back. The cloud went on its way and we saw Rob's body clearly. His skin was white and glowing. Oh God, I gasped. Rob's sister Penny burst into tears. Her friend Shelley kept her from running to him. What do we do? The flute playing girl asked. Dane pulled out a cell phone. We should call the police. Everyone agreed, but as he walked to the bonfire to make the call, another wave crashed on the beach. We jumped as the salt water reached our toes. As the water pulled back, we saw the wet sand glowing. We need to get out of here, I said. What about Rob? Penny said. We can't just leave him. Dane came up. They're on their way. He put his arm around me and glanced to where Rob's body was. It was gone. I dug my feet into the sand. Oh no. Then I looked down. The ends of my toes where the salt water had touched them were glowing. Oh no, I said again.
Oh, you have to finish that.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
what was the object?
Ah!
Oof,
I knew that
She
was
has
going
to
to be
write it
something
yet.
funky in there.
that was good, Pam. I like that.
Thank you. I got 2 other manuscripts to finish. I'm like, time.
Well, you're going to have to
Well,
put this one in the queue because now I want to know the
Yeah.
end.
Right? Right?
Or I could do a short story. It could be a
There you
short
go.
story. Yeah.
That would be
Uh-huh.
good.
Havoc.
Right? Mine was just a bunch of verbiage on about sitting on the beach in salt water. Sitting on the beach under my umbrella, my toes dug in the sand, relaxed. I closed my eyes, emptied my mind, and listened to the waves crashing, the birds chirping, children laughing. Breathing in the salty air from the tropical breeze brushing across my face, I thought to myself, time for a dip. So into the salt water I go. A wave breaks against me, splashing ocean on my lips. The taste of salt water takes me back several decades to a more innocent time. A carefree time on the beach in Key Largo with my best friend, Kim. 2 of us were like sisters then, and strangers often asked if we were. We both had pudgy noses and freckles on a round face with almond-shaped hazel eyes. Sad she's gone, another victim of lupus.
Mm,
And that was as far as I got.
It's moving.
yeah.
I have got both are equally long, so I'll go for the salt water also, which was not the one with surprises, but should carry more surprises. Put the title Salt Water. Sitting on the beach, toes in the sand and fingers playing with the soft feeling of the shakeable, lukewarm ground beneath me, I saw Max. The one and only guy I swore to self never to talk to stood right in front of me, toes in the salt water, like not knowing whether he should go into the water or not. How long haven't we talked to each other? 17 years, maybe? It seemed too improbable to see and recognize the man that my jaw dropped to close again while I thought I should be dreaming. I had to admit the truth. I wasn't. I should react quickly, pick up my towel and swiftly go back home. He had no way to know I had immigrated to Israel 3 years ago. He was probably just a tourist upon thousands who would leave tonight as the others did. He walked deep down into the water to find himself floating on top of it and enjoying it very much, to what I could decipher. Not everyone loved that feeling of not being able to swim as the Dead Sea carries you upward. I couldn't help but laugh. And then he saw me.
Wow.
Wow,
Ooh.
that was good.
I've been to the Dead Sea and you're really floating on
Mhm.
top of it and you can't swim. So I saw water.
That
Yep.
last line.
Right? And then he saw me. Okay, what's next? What happens? Does she
Yeah,
run?
right?
Throw a towel over her head?
The backstory was the forward story, but I mean, there might be some mistakes in the writing because English is not my
It's okay.
native tongue, but
It's good.
It's a great premise, great story.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share? We have a few
Chris or
minutes.
Leslie, would you like to share, either of you? You don't have to. All right. Leslie's off screen. All right. I will share my second one. Sand squished up between my toes as I walked along the water's edge, and I felt the sand recede under my feet, water lapping my ankles in a soothing rhythm as the tide drew in. The conflict mirrored my life, a sinking mess with calming overtones to keep me from insanity, and with as much beauty. I looked across the ocean and bright, clear sky to the horizon. Why was it that despite the beauty I was always surrounded by, I always sought what was beyond? No one can sustain life that way. Just once, I wanted to absorb my surroundings and live in the moment, but I didn't know how anymore. Something had put blinders on me. Underneath it all, I knew what that something was, but I refused to lift the tarp. Instead, I walked back to my towel and reclined in the sun. Sleep or read, that was the solution. Either would provide me an adequate alternative and at least let me enjoy the breeze.
Mm,
Nice. I like it.
mm.
I like it.
It's almost poetic,
Mhm.
almost like a poem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great imagery too.
Mhm.
Great imagery. Well, it's about the top of the hour almost, and we just wanted to thank you all for being brave and joining us as we celebrate here in America, at least. This weekend is the kickoff to summer, with it being Memorial Weekend. So, y'all be safe. Lots of great suggestions for reads, and hope you'll keep working on the stories that you've started with our writing prompts. Great stories here. What do we have going for next week? Brandy, do you
Next
know?
week, yep, next week we have Lucinda Seacrest McDowell with us, who will be talking to us about public speaking, which is something that is a good thing for writers to learn more about. A lot of writers like to do public speaking. Some writers are public speakers, so definitely join us for that. It will be a good session.
So, as we normally do, we'll have an after party, and feel free to hang around and talk about the session or what you got coming up. And next week, the A team should be back, and we should be good to go. And I thank Jan and Brandy for sharing this with me today, and thank you guys for participating. It's been
It's
fun.
fun. It
And
was
have
fun.
a blessed and safe Memorial Day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.